think about the power of coaching in your business, you have the opportunity to be able to expedite your growth and to minimize the trial and error that you have to do in business. As a former teacher, I don't believe that you have to sacrifice your purpose in order to get paid. If anybody deserves to be a millionaire, it's an educator. I'm Dr. Erica Jordan Thomas, and you're listening to 7-Figure Educator. Welcome back to another episode of the 7-Figure Educator podcast. My name is Dr. Erica Jordan Thomas. I'm a former teacher, former principal, Harvard grad, turned full-time entrepreneur, and now running a 7-figure education consulting business. On this episode of the 7-Figure Educator podcast, I wanted to share with you my criteria for picking a coach, because I believe that every entrepreneur should have a coach. I actually believe that every entrepreneur should have more than one coach. So I'm going to share a few of those beliefs, and then I want to actually dig into criteria for picking a coach so that way you can apply this in your own practice. Let me first share with you my philosophy around coaching, because I think that's important to start with. So first off, I believe that people should have more than one coach. I believe that part of scarcity thinking is thinking that you can only have one coach at a time. And I think the dangers in believing that you can only work with one coach at a time is you're indirectly saying that one person can give you everything that you need in business. And I just don't believe that's true. I believe that multiple people are going to play different roles in order to help support you in your growth as an entrepreneur. I almost think about it like a football team. Like, you have multiple coaches. You got the head coach, you got the offensive coach, you got the defensive coach. You have multiple people who are in position to be able to provide a level of coaching and support, because not everybody has the specialty across all areas. People play different roles. Another analogy is if you think about doctors, right? You have a primary care doctor, but if you have a heart issue, you're not going to go to your primary care doctor. You want a cardiologist, right? If you have a skin issue, you're not going to go to your primary care doctor. You're going to go to the dermatologist. So when it comes to coaching, you want to start thinking about who are folks that are positioned to be your primary care doctor and what folks are positioned to be specialists, where they have a deep expertise in a particular area of business, and you can glean that level of expertise to help you grow as an entrepreneur. So let me share with you my criteria for picking a coach. I believe that picking a coach is a really thoughtful, meaningful decision that shouldn't be taken lightly. Folks should do their due diligence when it comes to investing in coaching. And here's some criteria that I use in picking a coach that I wanted to offer up to you to be able to embed in your own practice. The first criteria is, have they achieved in business what I aspire to do? So if I want a 7-figure business, my coach needs to have built a 7-figure business. Who you choose to invest in as a coach is actually a reflection of your beliefs. So there are some folks who still have, well, we all have belief work to do, but for particular folks who have some beliefs around how much money they can make, I see people investing in coaches who have very basic promises of, I can help you put together an offer. I can help you, make $1,000 in the next 30, 60 days, where these are pretty foundational milestones in business. And I see people making those steps to be able to invest in those types of coaches. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I think the back end of that is it's a reflections of your beliefs of business. I know you're listening to this episode, and if you felt like you found your community, well, I want you to take the next step to join our community on Facebook. I have a free Facebook group, other Black education consultants just like you, and we're talking about proposals. We're talking about the next opportunity. People are collaborating and finding contracts together. It's an amazing, beautiful space that we've been able to curate, and I want to invite you to join. So go ahead and click the link in the show notes to be able to request to join my Facebook group, and I look forward to engaging with you there. So the second criteria is, have they created results for other people? Our first criteria was, have they created the results in their own business of what I aspire to do? And now, have they helped other people create that same result? Because it's one thing to do it for yourself. It's another thing to be able to package it in a process or a solution to help other people do the same thing. So I'm looking for, what results have you created for other people? And then to take that a step further into our third criteria, I want to know if you've created results for other people who look like me. So if I go on your website and I don't see nobody who look like me, then I begin to think, what about you, your company, or your process doesn't make it comfortable for people who look like me to engage with you? Have you created results for other people? Part 1. Part 2, have you created results for other people who look like me? And then fourth is, are we aligned in our values? And so I have values of equity and justice. I have values of excellence. I have values steeped in community. And so I want a coach who is aligned in those similar values. And a part of that due diligence really looks like being able to observe how the coach moves in the marketplace. And you can do that through social media. You can do that through attending their events. The fastest way to be able to learn someone's values is actually attending their events, because you see their values from the moment you go to registration. You see their values when you are sitting in the sessions. You see their values when you are engaging with certain team members. The entire experience of the event is the reflection of their values. When they're stepping on stage, what they say, how they engage with the audience is a reflection of their values. And so I'm looking for a coach that's aligned in my values. And I'm also looking for, is there misalignment, right? Because I need to know that. If you are a Black entrepreneur and you are looking for a playground to be able to grow your business and receive a roadmap for building a 7-figure education consulting business, I want to personally invite you to my upcoming 5-day business school. You're going to have the opportunity to spend 5 days with me, and I'm going to break down my blueprint for helping you grow a 7-figure education consulting business. I'm going to teach you my 7-figure sales process. I'm going to teach you how to develop your offers. We'll talk about pricing. And my goal by the end of the 5 days is that you make money, which means I'm going to help you identify people in your network that you can begin pitching by the end of our 5 days. So there's no excuse, because guess what? It's completely free. I want you to go ahead, head to the link in the show notes to sign up and join me at my next B-School. I'll see you there. And then the 5th criteria is, have they built a business that I admire and I could find myself replicating? Just through simple proximity, you're going to start to adopt the person's philosophies, their systems, their processes. And so, do you have operations that I admire? Do you have a team that I admire? Do you have a financial infrastructure that I admire? Have you built a business that I admire? And that actually, to me, is an indication that there's so much worth learning from that particular person. And I think what's embedded in that is really your belief system of, what is your vision for your business? And are you investing at the level of that vision? Because I see so many people who are investing in coaching, who are investing in community, and they're investing in coaches who haven't built the infrastructure of a sustainable business. So let me give you a couple of examples. When I think about what a sustainable business looks like, that means that you're protecting your intellectual property. So because I know that intellectual property is a core pillar of building a 7-figure business, it's a core pillar of having a sustainable business, I would never work with a coach that doesn't have trademarks. So even when I'm looking at their coaching programs, when I'm seeing their different events, is there evidence that they have protected their intellectual property? And when I say evidence, there should be some trademark symbols that I should even just see if I'm reviewing their website, if I'm engaging in their content. That means that they've taken the steps to be able to protect their intellectual property. Do they have a team? I would never invest in a coach who's a solopreneur, because that's not a business that I aspire to have. I don't aspire to have a business that's built around me. I don't aspire to have a business that I can't take a vacation from. Those are the types of things that you should have a critical eye towards, is where have they built a sustainable, healthy business that you have the opportunity to be able to replicate. If they don't have a team, if they don't have smooth operations, if they haven't protected their intellectual property, if they don't have evidence of being able to be savvy with financial infrastructure, those to me are red flags. I know you're enjoying this episode, but I wanted to pop in really quickly to make sure that you know about my event, 7-Figure Educator Live. It is the only event for Black educators who have a vision of a 7-figure education consulting business, and they are ready to make that vision a reality. You have the opportunity to spend 3 days in person with me and my team in Atlanta, Georgia, and I guarantee this is a transformative experience you do not want to miss. So to grab your ticket, you're gonna need to head to 7figureeducator.com. Again, that's the number 7figureeducator.com and grab your ticket before the price goes up. The link is also in the show notes. Go ahead and click and I'll see you there. So let me know in the comments what criteria stuck out to you, or if there's criteria that you think about when it comes to investing in coaching. Coaching is a necessary part of the journey as an entrepreneur. And when I think about the power of coaching in your business, you have the opportunity to be able to expedite your growth and to minimize the trial and error that you have to do in business. And one of the aspects of how millionaires move is millionaires will invest in themselves. And they know that that's the best type of investment that they can make is investing in themselves, right? Because that's a return that will always show up. That's a return that I'm always going to be able to count on is when I bet on myself and invest in myself. So let me share with you 3 red flags that I would take some hesitation and pause on if I saw them in the marketplace. And I've already named for you 2 of if I don't see any evidence of protecting your intellectual property, and if you're a solopreneur, you don't have a team, those are 2 red flags to me from a coaching standpoint, because you haven't built a sustainable business that I would A, admire, and B, seek to replicate for myself. So 3 additional red flags. One is if they have low prices. And to take this a step further, if they do not have a 5-figure offer, then they have created a business that's not scalable. And that means that they're going to teach you how to build a business that's not scalable. So if they're undercharging, they're going to teach you how to undercharge. And I think the deeper piece to this is if they have low prices and they don't have a 5-figure offer, that means that they haven't built the financial muscle to actually know their numbers and to price accordingly. Because when it comes to low prices and you don't have a 5-figure offer, that means you have a low profit margin and you can't scale an offer or a service that has such low margins. And so these are the things that I want us to start being attuned to, of if I see consistent low ticket pricing, $100 here, $500 here, or if they're charging under $1,000 for one-on-one access. So to spend a half a day with them is less than $1,000 or less than $2,000 for real. If it's less than $5,000, I'm like, I have some questions about that, because how they move in their business, that's how they're going to teach you how to move, right? And you have to have a critical eye towards those pieces. The second red flag is their marketing tactics. And I think there is a really fine line between low-hanging fruit marketing tactics and marketing tactics that are moving from a spirit of desperation. So let me give you an example. I often talk a lot about marketing strategy, and most of the time, most people have some misconceptions around marketing. And when they don't understand marketing strategy, they'll then resort to short marketing tactics that are short-term wins, but long-term, they're just not sustainable. So an example of that would be if they're mostly posting in Facebook groups that they don't own, right? If they're posting in other people's events, if they are posting in other people's Facebook groups, if they show up to someone else's event and they're at the hotel lobby marketing their own services, that means that they have not yet built a system or strategy to be able to generate their own leads. To now they have to rely on someone else who's built leads and borrow that space with permission, maybe without, And then the third and final red flag is if you see evidence of some false urgency. What do I mean by false urgency? I mean that they have made certain statements around either the availability of their services, the availability of their offer, and then you see them actually take a step back or not follow through on what they said to be true about their offer. So an example of that would be if they say that they have 10 spots available. 2 weeks later, they say they have 15 spots available. Or if they say the price is going up by this Friday and now it's Monday and the price hasn't gone up. They're using these urgency tactics that aren't rooted in integrity or aren't rooted in truth. I would be concerned. So here's the thing. We've got to take coaching really, really seriously. We've got to take the relationship of coaching as serious as we would take relationships of who we choose to be engaged with from a professional learning standpoint. If you found this episode to be really helpful, I want you to share it with a friend. And while you're at it, go ahead and click the subscribe button so that way you know when our next episode drops. We drop episodes every single week here on the 7-Figure Educator podcast, and I don't want you to miss out. That's what we have for today's episode, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.